everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Saturday Night Crafting. I thought I'd do a little intro into the video before we got started, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do tonight, and then you can decide whether you want to watch it or not, whether it's for you or not. I am filming on my stairs because upstairs is just a mess. My office is a mess and I couldn't get an angle right, and then when I tried to record with my computer it was all grainy and horrible looking, so I just thought, I've got this beautiful Velux window right here in my hallway and I didn't have to faff around with lighting or anything like that, so I just thought, oh well, I'll just film it on my stairs. No one's home anyway, so I can go film happy on my stairs and not be blocking anyone. You might see some cats in the background because if they hear me on the stairs they might come check out what I'm doing. This has been on my mind for a while and I've wanted to do a video like this for quite a long time, and then just never sat down and thought about it properly and what I could include in it. But the whole purpose of tonight's video is to help you financially with craft supplies. So I know personally for me, it is a struggle at the moment. We are literally month to month, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not afraid to say that. I think it's a big taboo thing that people don't want to talk about, but we're skint. We're absolutely skint. Like the garden work we did last week all went on the credit card. The credit card is big. Every month we get pay come in, and then we live happily for about like 4 days, and then all the bills start going out and I'm like, we're in the overdraft again. And that's okay. I know that's just part of life. I know that's how it is at the moment. And I know that we'll get out of it. I know we'll get through it. So I'm not overly stressed. I am trying to budget better, meal plan better, think about what I'm purchasing a bit more because it is a tough time. And we've been here before. When we first got married, it was like 10 years of hell of living in overdraft and credit card and debt and loans. And we got out of it, and then we had COVID hit, and then we have all the financial crap that's gone on the past few years. So it's just thrown us right back into position that's not great. But I do know that if I were to go and get a full-time job and get right back into working full-time, that we would be pulled out of this debt for a while. Like I think that would probably solve it, but I'm not in a position where I want, number one, want to go back full time at the moment. Number two, I don't feel like that's great for my children. I really wanted to be home for them until they're in a position where they're a lot more independent. And we agreed that when we got married that I would do the stay-at-home mom thing. So doing a YouTube job allows me to do that. And to be honest, YouTube has provided decently until the past couple, 2-3 years. It's kind of started going down, but I have noticed it started picking up a little bit again, so who knows, maybe it will do better or not. But anyways, I'm not ashamed to say that financially things aren't great. That's like normal for us. So it makes me think a lot more about my purchases. It makes me think a lot more about what I'm spending my money on. I really want to get products that I know I will use, and I want to buy things that I know will be helpful in my business and in my creative life. And I know that I've got a lot of things in my office that I don't buy from craft companies, that I don't buy into buying from craft companies. And I wanted a video where I could put it all together so you guys can see it all and see the ways that you can save money and not be spending tons of money on products that are unnecessary to spend money on. So I've got about 20 items today that I'm going to share with you that I do not buy from craft stores, that I think you could do so much cheaper, or you can get the exact same thing for loads cheaper. And I'm going to compile them all into this one video for you, so that if there's something in here that you've been toying with buying, like a pickup tool, I can show you how to make your own for pennies, even if that, like maybe even less, than having to purchase something that's like 10 to 15 pounds or dollars. So stay tuned to this video if you want to see all my tips that I use to keep budgeting, to keep crafting down and budget friendly. And then I'm going to do another video at some point in the future of the craft items that I can't live without, that really are worth spending the money on. Because honestly, there are a few things out there in the world that you don't want to skint on, like a really good paper trimmer. But I can show you one that is really good value for money that I've had for probably about 10 years now. That is absolutely brilliant. So I do value your feedback, and if you do want to see that video or don't want to see that video, could you let me know in the comments, because it'd be nice to know whether that would be a useful video, to know sort of what are some good products that you don't want to skint on, and then sort of the cheapest, best value you can get on those products. So let me know in the comments if that's a video you'd be interested in, because I want to gauge my audience better. I don't know, these are videos I don't normally do. I normally do how to create stuff. So I kind of want to make sure that I am doing content that you guys would like to see. So let's get started. We're going to dive straight in, and I'm going to take you through real quick all the different products that I substitute out for cheaper ones that are maybe not necessarily actual. So the first thing on my list is a pickup tool. Now lots of you will have seen these kind of white wax tools. These are the most common ones that have been on the market for absolutely ages. They're usually used in jewelry making to pick up gems. I can't get on with them. I've bought them several times and I really honestly can't get on with them. I feel like they just drop everything. They don't really pick anything up. They're not very sticky, and then you got to sharpen them, and I always find the lead is broken. Even though it's like a piece of wax, I'll sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it. I had one that I sharpened all the way down to a little nubbin before I'd actually even really played with it. The second one I bought was the Stampin' Up version, which cost an absolute bomb. It was like 12 or 15 pounds for this stupid thing. It had a little bit of sticky stuff that came out the end. It kept breaking off. I kept having to twist it and get more out, and it was really infuriating because I thought this is going to cost me a fortune. And at that point, I thought, the sticky stuff coming out the end is basically blue tack. Why am I using this dumb stick and not just using blue tack? So I introduce you, if you've not seen it before, to my pickup tool. This thing has been in my office on my desk for a good, probably 8 to 10 years. And this piece of blue tack's been going for about 3, maybe 4 years. And honestly, when it's not sticky anymore, I pull it off the end and I just literally squidge it round, give it a little play, pop it right back on there, and just kind of make it into a little ball on the end, and it's good to go. So it's been, I mean, it's pennies. This is a chopstick that I got from a Chinese takeaway, and that's a piece of blue tack. So I literally just use this and a pokey tool to pick up my gems and place them down. So I always put my like little blob of glue down first, and it is the best tool ever. Honestly, you just pick it up, you can see it's stuck on there. I barely touched it, and then I just drop it off onto my paper on my project. Pick up too many, you just flick it off. It's such a brilliant low tack tool, and you don't have to spend loads of money. It doesn't need to be a pretty tool on your craft desk, but this just sits on my desk and I use it every single week. Now number 2 is acetate. So acetate is really common in card making for making shaker cards, for making clear windows, for doing clear cards. Sometimes acetate is great using as like a little palette plate, so you could do some smooshing effects with it, with inks and colors and paints. Sometimes I use acetate for putting my glue on, if I want to use like a sponge and kind of sponge on some glue onto a fine delicate thing. And acetate can be really expensive in craft stores. It can cost a lot of money. However, do you remember like this kind of film, these sort of projectors that you got in school? So I have got these. One of these I bought fairly recently on Amazon. I think you can still buy them. I'll link it if I can find it. I'll try and link everything I can that I'm using today that is linkable. Like, I'm not going to link blue tack, that's a bit pointless, but I will link all the things I can link for you in my description box. But my mother-in-law also gave me a pack of the transparent film. So all you need is a transparent film. A lot of them are for like these old school projectors, but you can still buy them today. Sometimes you can get clear covers. For example, I've got these like Poly Clearview. They're covers for when you do like journals and books. These ones aren't properly clear. They're kind of like a foggy sort of cover, but you can buy clear ones. So just have a look for clear transparency plastic rather than acetate from a craft store. You will save absolutely tons. The other thing to bear in mind is charity shops or used stores, because you can often find these there where schools are clearing them out or old teachers are clearing them out. My mother-in-law is a retired school teacher, and so she gave me a pack of hers, which is fantastic because I use it all the time. So you can just have a look around. You can probably post on local Facebook groups and see if anyone has any of these sort of old transparency films and if you could have them. Having said that, the only acetate I will buy from a craft store is heat resistant acetate. So if I want to do any heat embossing on acetate, I will then make sure that I have heat resistant acetate. That's the one exception in this case. Now, number 3 kind of goes along the lines of number 6. You'll see that in a minute. But number 3 is watercolor card. A lot of craft companies will sell card bases and envelopes as like a little bundle. What you can do to save a ton of money is buy a whole entire pad. So if you like watercoloring and you want to do some watercolor cards, get yourself a watercolor pad of paper. Have a look online, look at the reviews, see what looks the best. You don't need artistic watercolor card unless you're properly going to do a nice painting. I always buy sort of a mid-range watercolor card, and then I make my own cards out of it. And I'm not saying make a card base, you could do, but that's a big waste of watercolor card. Watercolor card is expensive. So what I like to do is I buy a whole entire pack, I take out a piece of it, and I cut card fronts out of it. So I will take the pad and I will cut it down to be slightly smaller than my card base, or you could do it the exact same size as your card base if you want it to be exactly the same. But I never use an entire sheet of cardstock when I could get 4 cards out of one piece rather than getting 2 cards, if that makes sense. So this would, if you folded this in half, that would be a sort of standard size card. If you want an A5 card, or sorry, an A6 card, but if you want an A5 card, then that's an entire sheet as well. You can save so much money and get so much more for your money by cutting a card front. Now, number 4 is spatula tools, mixed media tools. If you have a look at the cake making section in your local grocery store, online on Amazon, you can find the same tools for a fraction of the price. I think these came in a cake making set that I got from my husband. You can see there's glue actually on here. I didn't clear the glue off when I used it. But this is great for dragging, for pushing down. If you want to have adhesive go nice and tight without air bubbles, you can push it down. This one, you can create texture with texture paste. You can create texture with paints. There's lots you can do with that. I think this came with 3 or 4 other things in it, and it was about £2 or £3. So if you look online at cake making supplies rather than crafting supplies, you'll often find the same tools for a fraction of the price. Same with things like these silicone spoons and spatulas. I have a variety of these in different shapes and sizes, and these are great for smearing glue because they just wipe straight off, for scooping out things like glitters or powders is so good for that, and they clean off really, really easily. And this again was from like Shein for, I don't know, I want to say like £1. So have a look around at other supplies for other crafts. Number 5 is blending brushes. How many times have you guys bought blending brushes from companies? They can be so expensive. And it's really funny because a lot of companies have just basically taken makeup brushes. And that's not to say their brushes aren't any good. I know that Lisa Horton ones are quite nice. They're angled, and sometimes angled ones are a bit hard to find. And lots of companies have put in money into the value of those brushes so the hairs aren't falling out. They've kind of quality controlled them a bit better. But if you're skint and you're on a budget, look at makeup brushes, and look at makeup brushes on the cheap sites. I know we don't like to go on Shein and AliExpress and things like that because they do sell a lot of knockoff products, and that's not cool and that's not okay. But when it comes down to buying generic products like a no-name brand makeup brush, why not? I bought these makeup brushes, and they are flat-headed brushes. I've got them in multicolors, I've got them in pink, and I've got them in white. I bought them all off of either AliExpress or Shein. If I have the links, I'll put it down for you. I bought them in bulk. I got something like 25 brushes, maybe 50 brushes. I have about 200 of them at the moment, just to give you an idea. I have a whole entire massive rack full of them because they worked out to about 20p a brush. So 20 cents a brush, essentially, or I guess 40 cents in sort of Canada. So they are really cheap if you buy in bulk, and they are really cheap if you buy just direct from the factory. And how cool are they? Like, they're glittery. I love a bit of sparkle. And these are fab. So on these ones, I don't actually have some of them labeled, but on a lot of them, oh, I do have it labeled here. I have Lisa Horton peacock. So I've labeled them with just a black permanent marker. You could use like a label machine if you have that, and you can just write directly on it. You can have one per color because they're so cheap. You could just have one per color, and they're small as well, so they store really well, and these are great for stenciling. Then these ones I also got online on one of the cheap sites, and they're a variety of brushes. So there's like really small ones and slightly bigger ones, and then like the middle in between one. These are fab as well because you can get a variety of different sizes, and they're perfect for stenciling. They're really, really lovely. And again, they're no-name brand El Cheapo brushes. I'm not using them on my face, so I don't care if they're scratchy or pokey. They're flat-headed brushes, which is perfect for ink blending and stenciling. Same with this one here. This one's a big fatty. I think this one was like £1 or £1.20 for this one. I got this one on Shein. And this is awesome for blending because it's nice and firm. You really do want a firm brush when you're looking for ones. You don't want ones that are like long because then they'll be too fluffy. Like for example, this one here I bought because it's flat-headed, so I thought it would be the same thing. But you could see in the pictures, and you can see here when I'm showing you, that it is really fluffy. So this isn't great for ink blending. It's probably nice on your face. I mean, it's quite soft, but it's not good for ink blending. Whereas this is nice and firm and hard. And it is perfect for getting that like ink down on your paper, for stenciling and stuff. And it's quite big and easy to hold as well. But that's just a makeup brush. Same with these ones. You've seen these ones on every craft site. Everyone has got these roundy ones, and they're great for doing ink blending and stenciling and stuff as well. These are just makeup brushes. They've been around for years and years and years and years. And one of the craft companies at one point went, those would be great for blending, and then they kind of boomed and went mental across all the craft companies. So everyone sells their version of these, usually different colors and stuff. But again, if you go on to the cheap sites, even Amazon, sell them really cheap. So have a look for makeup brushes rather than ink blending brushes, and you won't regret it. You can save a lot of money. I also forgot to share this one here. This one, you can get lots of the flat ones in the big version as well. As long as they are flat, they are brilliant for ink blending. And again, the shorter the distances here with the bristles, the firmer they will be, and the easier it is to push down if you are a person that likes more pressure when they're ink blending. Here are a couple of the round ones I've bought from AliExpress. This one wasn't quite even. You can see some of them. Check the reviews because this one kind of goes shorter to longer on that side. It still worked, but it's not as good. It's not as flat. This one was like some posh pretty one that was about £2, but it's beautiful and flat, and it works brilliantly as a really wide blending brush. Number 6 is card bases and card stock. I never buy from craft companies any of that stuff unless it's colored or specialty kinds of cardstock, like a decorative paper. So colored cardstock, if I really like the colors, I'll buy. And decorative papers or a really nice glitter cardstock, I'll buy. But bog standard card bases, black, white, cream, gray, I will buy in bulk from a company that will sell them cheaper. In the UK, I buy all my cardstock from Lime Tree Craft. They are amazing, an amazing value for money. So 100 sheets of 300 GSM is about £6. Now that is 200 cards because I cut all mine in half and use half for each card. So that is 200 cards for about £6 or £7. That is insanely good value for money. Now when I buy from them, they are lovely. So on their website they have A4 and A5 and sometimes A6, but if they don't have the size you want, they will cut it down for you if you ask them. But I buy all my cardstock from them, and I always buy in bulk, again, because then I don't pay postage. So if you order over a certain amount, it's free. So I always order enough that I get the free postage, and I will order an A4 or multiples of A4, and then you can get the A5 where they've cut it in half. It's ready to go. These are my bog standard card bases. They sit in a trolley next to my desk, and that's what I grab every single time I create with you guys. I grab one of my card bases. I have them listed next to my desk in my trolley according to color and GSM, and then I have them in different sizes as well. So I always have the A4, A5, and A6 right next to my desk, ready and easy to grab. Next up, ribbon and twine and thread. And you've guessed it, the best way to save money on that, buy in bulk or buy a bigger reel. And again, buy from cheaper companies. Now, for example, this one here I bought from Stampin' Up! Years ago. This is roughly what you got on the roll. You got maybe double this. And this was expensive. I think it was like £6, like 8 years ago. Linen thread. And I thought, this is so lovely on cards, but why is it so expensive when you get so little? Stampin' Up! For me is a big ripoff, by the way. They are so overpriced. I went on to AliExpress, and I mean, yes, it's starting to fall apart a bit, but I got this whopping roll, and here's another one. Exact same stuff, and this was about £1 for one of these rolls, and this was about £6. So it pays to shop around and look. If you find something you really like, have a look if you can get it straight from the source, really cheaply. Again, another Stampin' Up! One was this stuff here. That I bought, and it was so expensive. I don't know where my roll is right now because I've used it a lot, but I have a roll again equal like this, where it's about 50 times the size of this, and it was a fraction of the price, an absolute fraction of the price. Again, from Stampin' Up! These really thin metallic threads, I thought they were the bee's knees. They were so gorgeous on my cards. And then I started looking around, because this again was, I think, about £6, £7, £8 for just 2 small reels of metallic thread. And online you can buy little sets like this where these are all metallic. You can get all the colors. And I'm still on my first set, which lives in here. This sits right in front of my desk, and it's got little metallic thread written on it. And this is where I keep all my metallic threads, and I just use some red line tape to hold it down, and this is what I reach for when I want some metallic thread in my projects. Now, if you're someone that uses a lot of metallic thread, you can get embroidery thread. Check this bad boy out. This is more than I'll ever use in a lifetime. And you could get one of these and share it with all your friends. You could all, you know, make a little roll of it yourself and just take some home. But these were about £2.50, maybe £3 tops for an entire monster roll of metallic thread. And I've got these babies in all sorts of colors. And they now sit in my box because I find the little ones a lot easier to reach for and grab. But I have got heaps of these colors, and look how much comes on the reel. Like, it's falling off the reel. There's so much on here. Now I have a whole entire box of twines like this as well that I bought from AliExpress. And these again were all between £1 to £2 a roll, and I use these on gift wrapping, I use them on cards, I use them when I'm making tags. And these were just so cheap and such good value for money, and you get so many different color options, and there's so much on each reel. Yes, I did go a bit crazy. This is not budget friendly buying this many of them, by the way, buying all of these, but I bought these over about 2 years worth of time, and I've had them now for at least 6-7 years in my stash, and I reach for them all the time when I'm doing homemade projects or gift wrapping, things like that, and they last absolutely ages. So if there's a color that you use all the time, perfect. Now the same goes for sheer ribbon. You can buy these ugly looking sheer ribbons, and I mean, I got this in a pack of, I think it was 12 colors for around £3 off of Shein. You can get such a lot of product, a lot of money. Now if you're limited on space, you're limited on funds even more so, then opt for white. So buy yourself some white of whatever it is that you want. The best thing in the world about buying white is you can dye it whatever color you need it to be. If you've got ink refills, if you've got an ink pad, you've got marker pens, you can color your thread. Now as an example, I've just got a permanent marker in a pink color, and you can just take some of your ribbon, and all you have to do is just spend a little bit of time just coloring it. Flip it over, color the other side, and that's it. And now you've got ribbon or twine or thread matches your project. You don't have to have one of every color. If you get a white, you can make it whatever color you want it to be. Now, have you ever been working on a project and you want to make a few, maybe like multiples of the project you're working on, but your paper pad that has got some papers in it that you like only has 1 or 2 of that design? One of the best money saving tips is to have a look online. There are so many websites nowadays that have free downloadable SVG files or printable papers, and some crafting magazines will also have links to the papers in their magazine. And now I'm not sure if they still do it, but there were a few crafty magazines that when you went onto their website, you could go to their downloadable section and download printable papers. Now, if you use free digital printouts, then obviously that's going to cut your costs down. But also there are a lot of companies now that have their papers in digital format, and you can pay for those papers and use them as much as you want and print them as many times as you want. So these websites can be really useful. If you want to do bulk card making with the same design, then have a look at what you can get either for free or what you could buy. Now, the trick with printing papers, one of the best things I've found that works amazing, is to use photo paper. So you can buy matte photo paper, you can get matte photo card and put that in your printer and select photo quality printing. Now, this is the photo paper I use. It's my favorite one to use in the printer, but this again will give you cardstock. So this is 230 GSM or 62 pounds, and they do it in a paper, which I have as well. But this is my preferred photo paper to print on with my printer. Now, these are papers that I have printed myself on my printer. And obviously it's meant to be 12 by 12, but when you print it onto normal paper, it comes out about 8 by 8. And the quality is amazing. You get such vibrant colors if you set it on the right setting and you use actual photo paper. Photo paper is the key. You will get gorgeous looking prints, gorgeous colors, like check out that blue. And these are all downloadable papers that are online. You can purchase these ones. These ones I think are Simple Stories papers. Might be a mix of other ones, but how, like, look at that. It looks like velvet. It is so beautiful. And this is just photo paper, a printer on the right settings, and that is it. And they are online papers that you can purchase. So you buy them in a bundle, but they're gorgeous. And if you want to make multiple cards with the same paper, then this is a great way to do it and save tons of money, because sometimes with these companies you can buy individual sheets, but then you're looking at a lot of money. So it might be worth adjusting your plan and adjusting what papers you were aiming to use and finding one online that is a printable one that is similar, that you can make do with for your project. And again, these are great. You can scrapbook with these as well. They're absolutely beautiful. But I mean, I printed all of these out in a day. I went a bit happy with my printing. Having an eco tank makes all the difference, by the way. An eco tank costs pennies per print. So you might be looking at this going, oh my gosh, I could never afford that. But this was pennies. I buy my ink unbranded on Amazon, and I refill my Epson eco tank with my cheap ink, and it usually costs me, I think, about £10 for all the colors, and those colors last for about 3,000 colored prints, I think. So you get lots and lots. So there are ways to save money on your pretty papers as well. Another item I don't tend to buy from craft stores is storage. All my storage in my office comes from home stores. So in the UK, I go to Home Bargains or Dunelm or even IKEA, and I buy storage boxes from those places. All of my storage on my desk that holds my brushes and all my storage on my desk that holds my key items that I use is makeup storage. So I think these were from B&M in the UK. This is one of those like spinny ones, and I just have one that's got my scissors and pokey and sharp things in, and then I have another one that's got pens, my ruler, my pick-me-up tool in as well. This is the container that I keep all like my brushes in. I have 2 of these on my desk, and one's got pens, like acrylic pens at the top, and then the rest is like brushes, but these sit on top of my desk and they're easy to grab and easy to use, and they were for makeup. And as I've shown you before, I have these across across my desk. I have like a little shelf, and these all sit under that little shelf, and I have about 20 of these boxes. They're all labeled with what I've got inside them. Now, one of my other storage items is this from IKEA, and this holds all my stuff. So my stamp platforms go in here, and my paper trimmer also goes in here. It's gonna be hard to see on camera, but it holds everything up. I think it's for plates or lids or something like that, but it was like £2 from IKEA, and it holds all my tools. They each slot in one of these slots, and then I don't have to worry about everything falling out when I take one thing out. Storage doesn't need to be expensive, nor does it need to be branded. It just needs to fit the products you need them to fit. So I usually measure out what I want a box for, and then I pop off down to the local cheap shop and just start measuring out boxes and see which one will fit. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you will know that I love using food coloring rather than ink refills. Now, ink refills can be very expensive. There's not a heck of a lot in there. I don't like to use my ink refills when I am doing projects involving coloring stuff unless I want it an exact match. An ink refill is brilliant for refilling your ink pad, obviously, and I want to keep my ink pads going for as long as possible, so I don't want to waste that expensive ink on coloring projects. Instead, I go online and I buy really cheap food coloring. It does not matter what the quality is of the food coloring because we are not using it in food. I'm not going to use these in my kitchen. They're going nowhere near my kitchen. These ones sit in my office only. Now, this set here I think was around £8. It came with 24 colors, and the colors are stunning. Let's talk rulers. Rulers are another thing I don't buy on craft websites because there's no point. There's hundreds and hundreds of rulers everywhere. A really good quality tea ruler you can get off of Amazon. I got a set of 2 for about £5. Now, the only thing that I love that I struggled with for a while was my Tim Holtz centering ruler. So this is my Tim Holtz Ideology center ruler where the 0 is in the middle. It makes it so easy for finding the center point without having to do any math at all. This thing I love. But having said that, when I was in Canada 1 or 2 times ago, I found a centering ruler there as well in the dollar store. This cost me $1. And yes, it's only in centimeters, not in inches, but I found this in the dollar store in Canada for $1. So I got this one on Amazon, and this one also is a centering ruler, and it's got inches on it, but no centimeters. But it has the 0 in the middle, and then you can work out your central point as well. So if you have a look for a centering ruler, you can find one very easily, probably local to you or online. Right, let's talk stamp cleaner. How many of you have bought into buying one of those like shimmy pads or one of the trays that open up and you have the dry side and the rough side and you spray it with a special stamp cleaner? I've been using my own homemade stamp cleaner for at least 8 years, at least. It is so simple to make. I've shared this on my channel before. I like to use a either all natural shampoo or like a baby shampoo because I know they're quite gentle. There won't be any extra oils or anything added in. The Faith in Nature, dragon fruit is my favorite smell. The Faith in Nature one is my favorite one to use. This bottle is probably about that full, up to there. And I've used it for at least 4 years now. And all I do is I drop about maybe 6 to 10 drops of shampoo into a bottle of water. This is an old leave-in conditioner bottle that I emptied out and rinsed out, and I now use it as my stamp cleaner. Now, if you're using pigment inks or stays on something more strong, or you've got glue stuck to your desk, I fill a little spray bottle with alcohol. And I've got it labeled so I don't mistake it for water and spray it on something I shouldn't. And again, I buy this in bulk from Amazon. I buy a 5-liter bottle of this. You can get all kinds of different sizes. But if you buy it unbranded from online or go into your local chemist and get rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, that's all you need. I buy mine at 90% alcohol, but you can get it at 70%, but I find 90 is great for cleaning especially. This is the other thing I use for stamp cleaning is just a microfiber cloth. I buy these in bulk on Amazon. And your next best friend for cleaning is a toothbrush. A flat toothbrush, cheapest thing, a free one from a hotel is brilliant. And all you're gonna do is just scrub it. give it a little scrub like that, and then give it a rub with your microfiber cloth, and it is perfectly clean. But if it's kind of a bit stuck or being a bit stubborn, that's where I come in with the alcohol. Now, as a warning, alcohol will deteriorate your stamps. Okay, that is a big warning that lots of companies use. You shouldn't be putting it on your clear stamps. It will wreck them. However, having said that, I have used alcohol on my stamps for at least 6 years and not had any of them deteriorate and fall apart. I also don't keep my stamps forever. I don't buy them with the intention that I'm going to have them for 20 years. I buy them because I love them and I enjoy them, and then I either give them away or sell them. And they're always still in good nick when I do that, but I'm not worried if that stamp were to ever get forever damaged, if that makes sense. I know that I will want something new and shiny at some point, and that stamp will go. But I have used alcohol on my stamps, on my clear stamps. I've never had a problem. So number 16 on my list is media mats. So a lot of people have glass mats on their table. They use fancy boxes for spraying in. My version of a media mat is just a glass chopping board. I picked this up for about $5 from my grocery store. It's really cheap, does the exact same thing. It's nice to work on, it's easy to clean. My daughter's left a whole bunch of mess on mine, but it's just a glass chopping board, that's it. The other thing I like to use is a baking tray. So I got this from the dollar store, pound shop. I only paid £1 for it. And I use this for whenever I do any mixed media that might run. I use this tray because it just holds it nicely, and this cost me £1. So really cheap and easy. And then if I'm doing any spraying, so if I've got any of like my little spritzers that I've made, or I want to do some spraying of some kind and I know it's going to kind of go everywhere, then a box is perfect, and it just contains it really easily. And when it gets all messy, I just chuck it in the recycling, so no problem. Now, the one exception I have to a media mat is my scrapbookdotcom multimedia mat or mixed media mat. You can get these from lots of places. I'm pretty sure you could probably get one in the baking department. It's like a silicone mat, but this wasn't very expensive from scrapbook.com, and often they have them on offer as well. So I love this, and the reason I love it is because when I do ink blending, it holds my cardstock. My cardstock doesn't shift, it doesn't slide around. So then when I come in with an ink blending tool, like, it doesn't move, it doesn't shift. I don't have to worry about taping it down. It's really great. The downside is if you want to do stenciling and you tape a stencil down, tape doesn't stick to this, so the tape just pops straight back off, but it holds my cardstock really well. The other thing I love is that it also grips an ink pad. So when I put my ink pad down and I'm ink blending, it barely shifts around, so I can really rub on it and then rub onto my project, and it doesn't shift around on me. Right, the next one, number 17, is gems and sequins. Again, buy in bulk, buy direct. So I buy from AliExpress and Shein. They're often found in like the jewelry making sort of sections, but I mean, like, look at this, whole list sequins. These have been going for about 2 years now. I've used loads of them, but I mean, there's got to be a good few thousand in there still left. And they're gorgeous. And so if I want a white one, I get the mix pack. I can pick out the white ones using my pick-me-up tool. I can even get like shaker inserts. These are like little cupcakes. I've never used these, so this actually wasn't a very good investment. Flat back gems. But if you buy in bulk and you buy direct, usually from China, you can get them for really cheap. And I don't worry about copyright infringement and stuff from any of these sites because they are just gems. They're just plain plasticky gems that I will use in card making. And the nice thing as well is they often do mixed packs, so you can't really tell, but in here there's about 6 or 7 different sizes of gems. These are fabulous because you just get one mixed pack, and then you can get multiple colors of that one kind of mixed pack, and then you've got several kind of gems to work with. Now, number 18 is sort of recycling bottles, and I did touch on this already briefly when I was sharing with you my cleaning products. So I've got old hairspray bottles, like spray leave-in conditioner bottles that I use for my stamp cleaner and for my water. I've bought some bottles in bulk, again, in bulk, from Amazon or AliExpress, I think I got as well. And I just bought a bunch of smaller bottles, and then whenever I need something, like I want to make my own DIY shimmer spritz or my own DIY colored spritz, I've got bottles ready to go that I can kind of just toss all the things into and make them up as I need. I seem to got confused with my numbers, so I apologize because I think I've jumped over a few different numbers, but we are on number 17, and 17 is magnets. So I know you can get a lot of magnets in craft stores, but they're actually really easy to buy online. Amazon, you can get them. These are really, really strong ones. What you need to pay attention to is the thickness of your magnet and your width of your magnet. And you don't want thick, so these ones here are too thick to put as like a magnetic closure for something, but they'll work really well as like a magnet for a fridge if you want to do decorative magnets, which I will do a tutorial for very soon. I've got some ideas I want to do, but I buy all my magnets, they're just sticking to each other. I buy them again from, I think all these ones I got from Shein. Next up, let's talk sponges. So this again is good for ink blending, it's good for edging the edges of your cardstock. I use sponges a lot in my daily life. I use them for applying glue to fine detailed die cuts, and you don't need to buy a craft sponge. Literally, you can go to your sort of baby section is quite good. They usually have really good sponges in the baby section. From Asda here in the UK, I can get 2 sponges for about £1 or £1.50, and you can just chop them up into like little triangles like so, and then ink them up and use them. I also got these ones when I bought some gel polish. I got this sort of gel polish holder. It's like a zippy case, and in it it had the holes for your gel polish to go in. But in those holes, they kind of punched them out but left these bits in there. So I saved all of them because they're excellent foam. It's brilliant for like ink daubing. You could even use it like as like a stamp as well. Like there's so many uses for foam. So I kept all of those. I have a whole entire another box of them as well. And then these my friend actually gave me, and I've been slowly working my way through them. She gave them to me about 8 years ago before she moved to America. And they were from some packaging that she got. She bought like, her husband bought like a computer or something, and there was some packaging in it which was foam. So she just chopped it all up, and it's been fantastic. So whenever I need a bit of foam, I just grab some of this stuff as well and use it. And obviously makeup sponges, again from the makeup section, you can go and buy some makeup sponges, and these are great for like getting into nice little corners. You've got all kinds of different widths to work with. You don't have to buy the crafty version ones, which are usually like 10 times the price. Now number 19 is distressing tools like sanders. I simply use a nail file. You can see there's a color on here. I use a nail file. It's got the 2 different sides, so you have like a smoother grit and then a rougher grit. I've got this from a hardware store. This wasn't even £1. It's a foam sanding block, and I use this for distressing. And then this is a nail buffer, so it's got a really fine grit on them, and this came from the nail section. So you don't need to have expensive sanders either. And last but not least is paste, glitters and sprays. So if you have a look at my DIY section on my playlist, I have got videos on how you can make your own glitter spray, like this one here. These were made with food coloring. They are DIY colored spritzers. I have got a DIY glitter pen. I've got DIY glitter paste, shimmer paste. There's lots of things. If you need a specific color, if you want to do a project really quick and you don't have a product already, I've got a whole section of videos on how you can make them yourself and make them for cheap. And that is in the playlist, which I will link in my description box, as well as hopefully at the end of this video, so you can check those out if you're looking for a DIY version to save some money as well. That's not to say I don't buy those things from actual craft shops. I just very rarely buy them because I tend to like to try and make it myself, especially if I need a specific color. But also I find when you buy the ones from the store, they can go off so quickly, and then you end up with a moldy or hard, dry product, and it costs you a bomb. So if you want to make your own, again using like some little containers from the dollar store or pound shop, it's a great way to make just a small amount what you need and use it up in that one project, and then you don't have to keep and store all these bigger containers full of really expensive products, and you can save some money and do it yourself and not have to worry about it going off at some point. So check out that playlist down below or at the end of this video and have a go yourself at some of these DIY projects. You might be surprised at how easy they can be to make. So thank you so much for joining me for Saturday Night Crafting. I hope this was really helpful. Let me know down in the description box below what you enjoyed most about this video, if you found it helpful or not. Let me know if you want to see a video on the supplies that I kind of can't live without, because they tend to be worth buying properly rather than having to buy twice, essentially. I'm so grateful you joined me today. I'm sorry it was a long one. I hope it gave you some inspiration to create things and be crafty if you are in a financial tricky situation. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye!